Hey, how you doing? I'm going to show you a few tips and tricks that I use when I'm creating big band scores in Sibelius. If you like this kind of video, subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you want to go a little further, go over to my website, davidricard.com, scroll down to the bottom, and sign up for this email list. You'll get a free big band MP3, and you'll be kept up to date on other things, including tutorials that may not be on YouTube. Okay, well, the first thing I want to tell you about is that you can, if you didn't already know this, you can go to your preferences and there's a keyboard shortcuts page. And here you can edit the shortcuts and you can add new ones. And you can also create shortcuts for items that don't normally have keyboard shortcuts, including the plugins, both the stock plugins and the third party, the user made, created ones. So that's actually what we're going to get into right now. All right, so the first plugin I want to show you is a really fun one. Let me show you. I'm just going to add some text here and say something like rock feel. And then I'm going to take this text and I'm going to use a key command that I've set up for the plugin add brackets to reprise script. So when you do this, you get that cool look. The other kind of cool thing is if you take this and you undo it and you put it over here and then you instantiate it, it puts it the line underneath it. So it knows what you're trying to accomplish, and that's a cool one. So that plugin is called Add Brackets to Reprise Script. So let's move on to the next plugin that I'll use often in big band, pop, rock, anything like that, anything that's not orchestral. And that's adding slashes. So for that I use a plugin called Fill Selection with Slash Notes. And you see I already created a key command for it over here. So I'll just use my key command. I'll go like this. And it adds them, and it puts them in the middle of the bar, and that when the part is transposed, they stay in the middle. And this can be really handy for your rhythm section parts and for solo changes, and really takes a lot of the work out of it for you. Here's a good one. Okay, so right here, you could see I have something like this. Let's get rid of this, because that's wrong. Now here's a big ensemble hit. I want the drummer to hit these with the band, or at least know that the band is playing them. He doesn't necessarily have to hit every note. So I can take any of these that are rhythmically the way I want. Let me just take the second trombone just to show you that it doesn't need to be the lead trumpet. And I paste that into the drum part. And then I use a plugin called Make Pitches Constant Drums. Okay, and I have a key command for that. I go like this. And it'll do this. And for me, this is awesome because, as you can see, it's creating layers. And these layers would be, for me, kind of time-consuming to actually input and get it like this. So even if I don't want all these notes to show up, I may still do this exactly like this and then edit it because I find it easier. Also, you can, when that dialogue comes up, you can put the notes at the bottom of the staff. If you're doing maybe a trombone cue or just something where you want the drummer to know that it's a low thing. Anyway, he's probably just going to ignore all this anyway, so don't kill yourself. Okay. So if you took something like this and let's say you wanted the guitar to play exactly those hits, you would paste that in, then you would do that, make pitches constant, say okay, go like that, it's the wrong octave, bring it down, change the note heads to this one. Kind of an easy way to set up your rhythm section like that. Okay, and the last plugin I want to tell you about is this fun one called Add Work Number to Top of Page. You probably don't need a key command for it because you'll only be doing this once per chart. But this is a great little plugin. It'll add a number up here. It'll put it in the parts too. You set up the size that you want. And it's really good. It'll save you the trouble of having to use a Sharpie and writing it all out on all the parts. Okay, the next thing I want to show you is very basic, but it's something that will save you some time if you didn't already know how to do this dynamic. So a lot of times you'll end up with something like this, where you've added the dynamics to, let's say, the top part, and you want to get them in all the other parts. So this is Sibelius 101 right here. filter the dynamics, copy, and then you can just paste them. I like that you could just go like this too. You don't have to actually like put it right on the note, and it just gets it. Okay, so that's a good one. And then the same thing goes for chords. Rhythm sections can have a lot of the same chords. So you can filter the chords, copy, and you can paste them into a few parts like that. Pretty handy. So suppose I want to write here to Harmon mute. Now, you see the cursor still blinking. So what I would normally do, and I want to put this on all the trumpets, okay? So you would think maybe a good way to do this would be to click so it's no longer in typing mode. Click it again, copy, and paste it. But there's this one thing you can do that will actually save you. It saves one move, but over the course of a chart, I find it to be really helpful. While the cursor is still blinking, hit escape. It stops typing and it's highlighted, or selected. So right from there, I just Command C, and then I can go here and put it there. I know you're probably thinking that's not a major time saver, but it really, it's not that it saves time, but you can keep your hands in the same place and get through the moves. And I'll just quickly show you that you can do it. It works the same for the dynamics. So let me go here and let's just put in a mezzo forte. While it's still blinking, hit escape, copy, paste. Okay, the next thing when you're doing big band arranging or pop or funk, you're probably going to want to use a lot of these double bars. So there's a key command for that. It's Option D. For the rehearsal letters, I prefer to use numbers, the bar number, so you can change that in your engraving rules over here. The reason I prefer this is because I record a lot of my stuff, and I learned the hard way that if your measures don't line up in the recording software as they do in the arrangement, you're going to have a lot of headaches trying to figure out where everything is. So I find this much easier. People could say, let's take it from 27 instead of let's take it from C, and then the engineer knows what you're talking about. Okay, there's one other thing I want to show you. In Sibelius, suppose I had my guitar part. I did the guitar part and it was perfect, like this. And I was like, hey, the piano is going to be doing the same thing. I could just copy this right into the piano part. But that happens. So you think, well, I can transpose, right? Command and arrow up, and it doesn't do anything. You can go to the individual notes and you can do that, but you can't do it to the whole thing. So what I do in this situation, if I have this, is I'll go, and I try to do it really quickly. I change the note head to 0, transpose it, and then change it back to 4. A lot of times I would say, if I were advising someone, I'd also look around. Maybe you have this exact figure at another point in the song, and you could just copy it in. And it'd be easier to change the chords than it is to write in these figures again. Then again, you guys might all be really great at inputting notes and wouldn't even bother copying it. All right, the next thing I want to show you is a little workflow improvement that I've adopted when dealing with the parts. So a lot of times you'll be on a part and it will look like this, and then you'll want to go to the next part, and then you can do it over here. I use a key command for it. And I go to the next part and it looks like this. And so the first thing you do is, well, you got to make it a little smaller, and then you usually got to move it over a little bit. So what I do is I will take the key command that I use for next part. I use command and then the arrow going over to the right. And the previous part I use the key command going to the left, and then zoom to fit. I think the default is command 0. If it isn't, that's what I changed it to. So watch what happens. I can go, well, let me make this bigger just to kind of show you what I'm talking about. So I was on the trumpet 1. So I go next part, zoom to fit. So I do that, and I do it almost as one movement, and then the part is right there, and I can get right to work on fixing it up, and I don't have to worry about all those extra clicks that it takes. Because look, we'll go to the next part, and a lot of times this happens. It's like, whoa. So zoom to fit. So that will definitely save you time. Anytime there's something that you find yourself doing repeatedly, that's when you want to try to find a key command or a way to avoid that from happening, because you're going to lose a lot of time when you're dealing with 17, 18, 19 parts per tune. It just starts to add up. So that's my advice. Anything you find yourself doing a lot of, there's probably a better way to do it. And if you guys know of a better way to do any of these things, please let me know. Put them in the comments. I'm still figuring this out myself, and I love it when I get to find a new thing, whether I came up with it or someone else did. So please let me know, put it in the comments, and there'll be more of these coming up. We're going to do one where maybe I'll take this chart and actually kind of break down how I arranged it. This chart is a little different than a regular swing chart because it's a rock tune. So this brings up a lot of, I wouldn't say challenges, but if you're not used to doing it, you may not be sure what you can get away with and how many instruments you should have doing what things in a tune like this. So that'll be the next tutorial. So I hope you enjoyed this. As I said, subscribe to the YouTube page and also go to my website, davidricard.com, and join the mailing list. You'll get an MP3, and there'll be more of these coming in the near future. Thank you. Bye-bye.